Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to read like 10 jokes.
What?
Wasn't too sure how the crowd was gonna be tonight, but I'm gonna go through this right now. Well, first off, I mean, I've been working at Melville since I was like 12 years old, I think. way before the legal age, right? Yeah. Back and forth between that time, right? Anyway. But Gary's always been an inspiration to me. You know, when we started, it was really just a candy store, small factory in the back, minimal accounts to what Melville has grown to today. So I think we should take a moment, give Gary a round of applause for what he's done with Melville Candy.
Cost me a lot of money, buddy.
I want to congratulate you on building a successful candy company. Too bad you ate half of it. I looked up to Gary growing up. I really did, because he would be out there in the truck all the time delivering candy, and I was like, wow, this guy's like an inspiration to me. And he didn't go to college, and he became like a successful businessman. So I think it's one of the reasons why I was like, I can kind of skip college because this guy, and fuck, I mean, Gary proves that you don't need a college degree to become a failure. But in his defense, he also went to Hull High School, which explains why he can't write. I mean, Gary wasn't a professional necessarily. He just wanted to be like a guy who was doing what he does, and he just loved doing it, making candy and selling it to people, and that was about it. But I did notice that Gary has a LinkedIn profile page, and the first skill listed is food, but no shit, Gary. I mean, we love that you're a big guy. I mean, we really do. I mean, it's just, everybody knows Gary as a big guy. I mean, God forbid, Arby's will probably walk hard and start a drive after a Red Sox game. But I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Gary owns a Deuce and a Half. Oh. Yeah. Hey, it's not because he's a badass, it's just because he can't fucking fit in a Prius. Gary's also a history buff. Loves history and wars and all that good stuff. And I think he models himself after Howard Taft. They're both hardworking, they're generous people, and they both have gotten stuck in a bathtub. He's also a loving guy, Gary. He really is, and he's loved by everybody around him. He has a beautiful wife. He outsourced her for cheaper labor, of course. And the only reason why she married him is because she thought he was Buddha. That's about it. I can't imagine. But honestly, I want to say, Gary, love you from the bottom of my heart. You gave me my very first taste of what business and life is supposed to be. And I mean, it's been 16 plus years, and till the day that I die, I'll know you and your family, and it's just been an experience that I'll never forget. And love you. Happy birthday.
How you doing, Gary? Hanging in there? Not bruised or anything? Okay. All right, folks, our next roaster, I'm going to check to see if he's here. Brian Smiley, you in the house? Then it is Joe McTiernan. Come on up, Joe. He's been playing with us.
I just want to start by saying I hate everybody that's called me for me because you stole all of my material. But don't worry, Gary, just like you, there's plenty more where that came from. Now Gary, let me just start by saying, obviously, we both know each other. We've known each other for, it's 6 years, it seems like much longer. And you're like my second father. If my father wasn't my favorite person in the world, you'd be right there, right behind him, and you know that. I love you too. Now let's get on to what I'm here for. Many things that people don't know about Gary have been said tonight. Many things obviously are self-evident when you look at them. That being said, let's go into a couple of things that people have already talked about. Like the fact that, I don't know, Greg mentioned something about the zombie apocalypse. Well, here's a little fact you didn't know about the zombie apocalypse. Gary has a lot of guns. Pretty sure that everybody that works with him knows that. And anybody that doesn't, Gary has a lot of guns. Well, Gary has a lot of safes as well that hold these guns. And Gary's always saying when you're around, listen, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, which is basically about a conversation every week, if you're ever in a zombie apocalypse, you want to be next to me. Well, I thought two things when I hear that from Gary. I say, number one, of course I do, because look at you, Gary. I can have like an hour and a half to just sit there. While they eat you, I can make my own ammunition, not only my own gun. But here's the worst part. When we do get into the safe, you can't even get into it. I'm going to have to call Scott to get in there, come down, open the safe, show you how to get in. The zombies are still eating you, and then you know where we're going from there. Well, there's also the deuce and a half that K-Don mentioned. That was another piece I had. I thought it was pretty good. You ruined it. But I brought it back. Here's a little thing that K-Don didn't know. Now, Gary has a deuce and a half. I love that vehicle. Scott and I, we've talked about it before. K-Don and I have talked about it before. Well, here's the problem. Gary can't fit behind the deuce and a half because of the 19 pounds he gained on week 3 at Frank's house. Well, Gary, we can go into your weight all day long, but you know, it's. I mean, God, literally, like you with me is endless. So let's just cut this. Let's just cut it. Moving on. Gary, I've known you for 6 years now. We've been to shows together. We've had so many good times. I remember going to so many shows and getting on planes or missing planes and trying to get you to get to the exit right before they close the door. And God love you, Gary, you tried, but we just missed it. Well, all I can say is, for as long as I've known Gary, Gary's had this, like everybody said, Gary's had the biggest heart, and he does have a huge heart. What a lot of people don't know, and it's not really a topic that you talk about a lot, is handicaps. And Gary's not a handicapped person, but Gary always says that he's uneducated, he can't read and write. Well, Gary for an uneducated person is pretty darn smart. Everybody knows that. He knows how to get out of work. He knows how to get away from Doris. He knows how to eat. He knows how to order. Well, the thing is, Gary, this is what I have to call you out on. You say you can't read and write, but I'll tell you, for someone that can't read and write, you sure as hell know how to get on to Google. You can order your guns. You can order food, and he occasionally gets onto the porn website. Every now and then, I'm not saying it happens all the time. Sorry, Doris, I had to say that. But that's all I had left. But Gary, all I'm saying is, I wish I had more material. I wish I got up here earlier, but I honestly wanted to say that I love you, buddy, and all I can say is happy birthday. I love you.
Well, we're down to our last roaster here, and I thought this guy was a myth. Gary, do you really have a son? Really? I heard his name's Joe? Joseph? Joseph Melvin, here, stand up. He does. I've never seen him in the office. I just was kind of shocked that this guy actually exists. Folks, let's welcome up to the mic, Joe Melville.
Those pants are absolutely horrible. Those pants are terrible. Sorry, Amy. I love you.
He's making me look bad.
Sorry. So, I just want to thank everybody before me, with the material and such, and appreciate that. Glenn, you suck. But anyways, no, but seriously, I really, really appreciate everything, and thank you for being so kind to my dad. Really kind. Wait till I'm done with him. So, I'm going to stick by the script, because my wife will kill me otherwise. Thank you for all coming. I really appreciate it. I've never done a roast before, so I'm not really sure of the correct way to roast someone, especially my own dad. Anyways, with that being said, I want to start by saying I love my dad. Even though anyone that really knows him knows he might be the cheapest man on earth. Not only does he hold the record of wearing the same shirt consecutively in a row, unwashed, but also the brightest freaking shirt you could possibly ever really find anywhere on the planet other than Amy's pants. And now Greg's, excuse me. Of course, the shirt was given him for free, and someone should have actually probably paid him for wearing it. Which is weird considering the man has two 40-foot trailers filled with junk, including 4 pallets of clothes that may have looked good in the 1960s, that we all know he refuses to throw away because he's convinced he will be able to sell them on eBay for profit someday. Is that in fact true? There really is no limit to how far my dad will go to save a buck. From turning underwear inside out over 4 times till the burnout tracks on both sides should be considered illegal in my opinion. To risking his life getting stuck in a dumpster for over 8 hours. To make some extra space is risky business. However, as cheap as my dad has always amazed me on how he managed to spend more money on guns than some small countries spend per capita. I mean, really, does anyone really need a Rambo machine gun? Or to buy a real army truck that he took the seat out just to drive it? Which he really did do that. I can think of way better things to spend his money on. Like maybe some damn clippers to trim his eyebrow hairs. Sometimes they get a little crazy, if you know what I mean. I'm really starting to look like the damn juice guy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not, but or maybe some suspenders so he can keep his pants up would be a good start. Anyways, moving on. I'm moving my material here. Anyways, that's my dad and I love him, and anyone that really knows my dad knows there's certain laws. Kadar can attest to this especially. And everyone else really should live by, such as getting the correct service at a restaurant. Has anyone gone to a restaurant with my dad? It's absolutely friggin' miserable. Liz, it is the worst. In my short 36 years of life on this earth, I have not gone to one restaurant without my dad ending the night speaking to the manager about the shitty service by the waiter. In the end, of course, trying to sell the guy some lobster puffs. That is the truth. I witnessed him actually chase service into the actual kitchen to send him steak back at least 5 times, which almost guarantees extra bacteria flavoring in the steak. The only real exception to this rule is where he goes to a Brazilian steakhouse and calls the manager on his cell phone in advance to let him know he's actually coming and to be ready for him. The next level of protocol is to never drop your trash in his dumpster without expecting to get back to your house in a Melville candy box in a few days later. It's actually true. Yeah. Or making sure to always end a call with him like you're being shot at a bunker in the middle of WW2. Over and out, Dad. You know, he's always talking Army. Or sticking up the bathroom without spraying could result in having a real toilet at your desk when you return. But even more important than all these is making sure you order lunch. You never, never, never forget to ask him for lunch. If he wants something or hell breaks loose. Never mind the fact that he really never knows what he wants for lunch. And when he does really know what he wants, when he really wants for lunch and when he does, he never really remembers what he actually ordered. So the idea is that you're supposed to ask him for lunch, he doesn't know what to order, and then basically he doesn't remember what the hell he ordered, and then it's basically a big mistake, and then the guy comes back 3 to 5 times later, and then it's just a disaster. The one thing I've learned about my dad is your pride is always number one. Even if it means you have to send someone else to get your favorite pizza, because you got to brawl with the staff and you don't want to go back inside the place after 5 years. Lynn Woods, Liz knows about that. Or potentially, the best one ever.